Everyone thought Red Pine, Montana was the safest town in America until a man named Rex Dalton rode in and kicked the town's most beloved dog. It was early autumn in Red Pine, Montana, a small mountain town where the sky always seemed bigger than anywhere else. Pine trees whispered secrets in the breeze, and the sharp scent of wood smoke hung in the crisp air. On Saturdays, Red Pine came alive. The farmers' market blossomed in the town square, where neighbors greeted each other like family. People bought fresh apples, jars of homemade jam, and cinnamon rolls still warm from the oven. Laughter echoed between the stalls. Kids chased one another around the old oak tree near the bakery, their breath misting in the cool air. And under that oak tree lay Rusty, a golden retriever with a thick, glossy coat and wise, gentle eyes. Rusty wasn't just any dog. He was the heart of Red Pine. Everyone knew him, the shop owners, the school kids, even the sheriff. Rusty had been part of the town since he was a puppy, and folks said you could tell a lot about a person by how they treated him. But more than anyone, Rusty belonged to Frank Miller, a retired firefighter nearing 70. Frank was a big man with broad shoulders, a silver beard, and hands as strong as iron from a lifetime of hard work. Quiet and humble, he carried a certain presence, the kind that made people feel safe just knowing he was nearby. Every Saturday, Rusty would lie in his favorite spot under the oak tree, while Frank strolled through the market, chatting with neighbors, sometimes helping carry crates for older folks. It was the kind of place where nothing bad ever seemed to happen. Until one day, it did. Late one Saturday afternoon, the peaceful buzz of the market was shattered by the growl of a motorcycle engine. Heads turned as a Harley-Davidson rolled into the square. The rider was a man in his 30s wearing a black leather vest, dark sunglasses, and a scowl carved deep into his face. His name was Rex Dalton. Rex was the sort of man who carried trouble like a shadow. Rumors followed him from town to town, bar fights, debts, threats, and now he was in Red Pine. He cut the engine and parked his Harley right beside the oak tree. Rusty lifted his head and gave a soft, polite bark as if to say, "Hello, this is my spot." But Rex glared down at the dog and spat out one word, "Stupid mutt." People paused, watching uneasily. A vendor murmured to his wife, "That's Rex Dalton. He's bad news." And without warning, Rex swung his heavy boot and kicked Rusty hard in the ribs. Rusty's sharp yelp split the square like a knife. People gasped. A mother yanked her child behind her. An old man dropped his paper bag of apples, fruit scattering across the sidewalk. Rusty stumbled backward, tail tucked, trembling. He tried to hide beneath the bench as if he'd done something wrong. And that's when Frank Miller appeared. He'd been over by the coffee stall laughing with friends, but the moment he heard Rusty's cry, he froze. He turned and saw his dog, his companion, his family, cowering in pain. He saw Rex Dalton standing there, sneering like nothing had happened, and something old and powerful lit up behind Frank's eyes. He didn't shout, he didn't curse, he just started walking, slow, steady, across the square. People felt the shift. Laughter vanished. Even the kids fell silent, wide-eyed, sensing something big was about to happen. Rex puffed out his chest, grinning as if Frank posed no threat at all. He popped open a can of soda and sneered, "Go back to your rocking chair, old man." But before Rex could raise the can to his lips, Frank moved. It was one perfect punch, fast as lightning, precise as a clock. Frank's fist slammed into Rex's chest. Rex flew backward, crashing into a fruit stand. Apples and pears exploded into the air like fireworks. Wooden crates splintered. People screamed, not in fear, but in shock and awe. Rex lay sprawled among shattered fruit, groaning. But he wasn't finished yet. He pulled himself up, coughing, fury burning in his eyes. He reached into his bike's saddlebag and pulled out a long metal chain. The chain rattled as he wrapped it around his wrist. "Shoulda stayed retired, Grandpa," Rex snarled. But Frank just stood there, calm as a mountain. Rex swung the chain toward Frank's head, slicing the air with a vicious hiss. But Frank sidestepped the chain, seized Rex's arm mid-swing, twisted it behind his back, and drove the heel of his palm into Rex's shoulder joint. A loud pop echoed through the square. Rex howled in pain, dropping the chain. Before Rex could blink, Frank spun, lifted his leg, and delivered a powerful roundhouse kick to the side of Rex's head. Rex slammed into the very bench where Rusty had been hiding moments earlier. The bench cracked in two under his weight. People gasped. Kids stood there open-mouthed, clutching bags of kettle corn. Rex groaned, spitting blood, trying to crawl away. Frank followed, voice low and steady. "You still don't get it, do you?" Rex pulled a knife from his boot, the blade flashing in the sunlight. Frank's eyes narrowed. His voice turned icy calm. "You pull that knife, and it ends a whole lot worse for you." But Rex was blinded by pride. He lunged, slashing wildly. Frank blocked the blade with his forearm, stepped in close, and drove his elbow into Rex's sternum. Rex's breath whooshed out like air from a punctured tire. Then Frank swept his legs out from under him, flipping Rex flat onto the pavement. Frank dropped to one knee beside him, locking Rex's arm in an iron grip, so tight Rex could barely breathe. Frank leaned in close and whispered, "Pain is temporary. The lesson lasts forever." By the time Sheriff Daniels arrived, Rex was wheezing on the ground, utterly defeated. Frank stood up, brushing dust off his flannel shirt. The sheriff surveyed the wreckage, the demolished fruit stand, splintered bench, apples rolling everywhere. Sheriff Daniels sighed and muttered, "Guess this counts as self-defense and maybe a little community service." Frank just nodded. He knelt beside Rusty, gently running his hands along the dog's ribs. Rusty licked his hand, tail wagging weakly. Sheriff Daniels cuffed Rex and read him his rights. "You're under arrest for animal cruelty, disorderly conduct, assault with a deadly weapon, and for being a royal idiot." As Rex was led away, people began to clap. A kid shouted, "Go, Frank!" Someone else called out, "Rusty, our hero!" That night, the story spread all through Red Pine. Kids acted out Frank's roundhouse kick in their front yards. The local diner even printed new T-shirts that read, "Don't mess with Rusty." The next morning, Frank sat on his porch with a steaming mug of black coffee. Rusty lay beside him, safe and warm, gazing up with big brown eyes. Frank scratched Rusty's ears and said softly, "You're safe, buddy, and next time someone thinks about hurting you, they'll think twice." And so, in Red Pine, Montana, folks remembered a simple truth, that real heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear flannel shirts, sip coffee on quiet mornings, and stand tall beside a golden dog named Rusty.